Next on Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly, Chicago Hounds burgeoning star Peyton Wall, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Brian Ray of America's Rugby News, and the best dang recap in rugby.
Rugby Wrap-Up's MLR Weekly brought to you by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, New York City, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle.
There is a massive responsibility on the 23 that are privileged enough to step out on that field today.
Let's get it started with rugby's best recap. At the gold mine on airline, Nola and the reigning champion Free Jacks went toe-to-toe, slugging it out for 80 minutes. Cooper Coates had 2 tries for the home team, but Oscar Lennon had a try and a total of 11 points on the day as the Free Jacks locked up first place in the East, and New Orleans lost another close one, 21-17. Up in the mountains, the Utah Warriors and Los Angeles TBDs took part in a Wild West shootout. 11 tries, 91 points scored, but LA put themselves behind the 8 ball with a yellow card just 4 minutes in, and Utah made them pay. Once again, Warhorse/fly half Joel Hodgson led from the front and the foot, getting 18 points and a try. Utah and Warrior Nation secured the top seed throughout the playoffs with an exciting 48-33 win. In San Diego, the Tale of Two Teams Cup had the Desperate Legion hoping for a postseason spot against Old Glory, who already knew their playoff seed. And the team from the nation's capital's roster reflected that, as San Diego ran them out of the ballpark behind a performance for the ages by Captain Brad Wilkin. 3 tries, 25 tackles, and 64 meters rushing. That's 70 yards, folks. As San Diego win the match 50-5, but lose out on the playoffs after starting the season with 5 straight wins. In Space City, the Anthem out of North Carolina looked to have tar on their heels as Houston's Drake Davis seared through their flailing defense and the searing heat 12 minutes into the SaberCats' second match in 4 days to get the hometown purring. Great to see our friend Emmanuel Albert healthy again and scoring a try, getting that 4th one for Houston in the 78th minute. The result, 26-14 Houston. The Miami Sharks swam into the Pacific Northwest to face a desperate Rookie and the Seawolves. But the Sharks were missing some teeth as they rested stars content with already having clinched a playoff spot, something Seattle was still trying to nail down. Miami's pesky defense made for some anxious moments for Seawolves fans, but Duncan Matthews scored 2 tries, including one for eternity, with his team down 2 men to help Seattle qualify for the postseason after being left for dead. Final score, 42-17 Seawolves. Well, we could all use a break, right? Why not go to that tried and tested coffee break with Rugby Morning's John Fitzpatrick. John, welcome back. How are you? What do you got for us?
Yeah, Matt, sorry, I'm a little sore. I don't know if you noticed that, but Old Glory sent out a Seaside, and they asked me to play a couple of minutes, probably why we lost 50-5, but ooh-wee. San Diego Legion still couldn't, even after a big win, still couldn't get to the playoffs because the team that you've been hating on all season long, the Seattle Seawolves, pulled off the improbable. Again, you were sleepless on Seattle. They made the playoffs. Matt, let's start there. How about those Seawolves?
First off, that, again, fundamentally false information coming out from John Fitzpatrick.
Johnny, roll the tape.
It's just, I have not been hating on the Seawolves. I even picked them when they had that season turnaround match against D.C. in D.C. I said, Seattle's finally got their lineup. They're going to come in here and win. And they didn't. And then
they didn't.
After that loss, things changed for Seattle. So just the opposite, jerko. What was the other part of the question?
Moving on.
What else you got?
Yeah, Matt. Well, let's back up. And first, happy trails, of course, to Captain Men's Eagle. Paul Lasike, who is going to be retiring at the end of the season. Of course, the Utah Warriors have the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They're going to be taking on your Seattle Seawolves. Matt, the Utah Warriors, a lot of people, myself included, weren't very high on Utah coming into the season. They've certainly surprised everyone. They've put a pretty dominant run here. Are they the best team in the Western Conference? Are they gonna get to the final?
They have a lot of firepower, but a couple of times throughout the season they had that, their starting lineup in and just didn't do the job. So there's somewhat of a team that's difficult to figure, but when you look at them straight on paper and what they've accomplished this season, they got to be a favorite. Next.
Of course, staying in the Western Conference, you're going to have the 2-seed Houston SaberCats against the 3-seed RFC LA / the outline of your head. But I am most intrigued about what's going to be going on. That's right. In the Eastern Conference, you have the New England Free Jacks, who have secured the top seed again. They're going to take on the Miami Sharks. Now, of course, we all know, unfortunately, the New England Free Jacks lost for the remainder of the season. Fly-out half Jason Patros. So, Matt, I'm going to ask you, will the Miami Sharks shock the world, take that Wales Online, and beat the New England Free Jacks in the first round there? Well,
they're in the hands of Dan Hollinshead, who's going to come back from paternity leave and is a darn good fly half, that Dan Hollinshead. That team is so good and so deep, they can win with Dan Hollinshead at fly half. If he goes down, that's a whole nother ball of wax. Miami, though, is a tough team. And they, like DC, didn't send their starters out to play last week. And they are well-rested. So we'll see what a well-rested Miami conceding any shot, well, not any shot of having a home game, but conceding home field advantage, they might give New England a run for their money.
Extra incentive, could this be the last hurrah for Miami? Did I say too much?
Some rumors are, what are rumors? They're just somebody saying something and not really having any fact behind it. But there have been rumors that Miami might not be back next year. But the latest intel says maybe that's not true. Maybe they will be back next year. Next.
Yeah, Matt. And then finally, the other semi-final matchup in the Eastern Conference, the Chicago Hounds taking on your Old Glory, DC. Matt, will we see a New England DC conference final matchup?
On paper, I'd say no, but Chicago has a penchant to go to the sin bin a lot. And if they don't watch their discipline could cause the on paper better Hounds maybe even a championship. So, how you doing?
You need to ask Peyton Wall, who you're going to be talking to next, how he feels about maybe just missing out on selection for the men's Eagles for the summer tests. Just saying. A lot of people saying, hey, why not give him a shot? Could it be a bolter? Just saying.
All right, I'll do that, and I'll make sure that I point out that annoying question is from John Fitzpatrick.
That's fine. Yeah, of course.
All right, anything else, John, before we let you go?
Yeah, Matt, of course. I'm sure you saw that interesting, shocking headline from Wales Online about the URC looking at expansion into the U.S. I just think it's hilarious because we've got World Rugby has concerns about the U.S. hosting the 2031 Rugby World Cup, yet you've got this R360 thing going on. They want to have something in the U.S., and now URC potentially exploring expansion in Chicago and Miami. Matt, I can't make sense of all this. You're a smart guy. Please break it down for me.
I don't pay any attention to it until I see something other than Wales Online, and I got to tip my crap. I got to tip my cap to Wales Online because every other article has a variation of the word shock, shocker, shocking, shock in their headline, and it sucks me in just like it sucks you in to read it, and then you realize, okay, this is just conjecture and probably written by AI, but it does promote some discussion. I gotta see more. I gotta see more information. Other than just Wales Online. No offense, Wales Online, but I gotta see more info coming about that before I start weighing in on it. Don't ask me those kinds of questions ever again. Next.
Well, Matt, that's all I got. It's kind of shocking that this show is still on air after 20 years, but that's okay.
Well, pretty much anybody can do it. On that note, I want to thank John Fitzpatrick calling in from the nation's capital, probably for the last time, because he's getting thrown out of his house. We'll be back with Peyton Wall of the Chicago Hounds after this.
Digs like a demented mole there.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street. And we are back welcoming in blossoming star for the Chicago Hounds, Peyton Wall. Peyton, welcome to MLR Weekly.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Fort Wayne, Indiana, hometown. Yep. Leo High School is where you played football and rugby and got accolades in both. That led to ultimately being the number 10 pick out of the 2025 draft in the MLR by the Chicago Hounds. But college was Indiana University, but also Life College.
Yep. For just a little small part of my life was Life University.
All right, so you went to Life in Georgia.
Yep.
And then transferred to Indiana?
Yep.
So what happened? How long were you at Life, and why did you transfer?
I was at Life for a quarter because I did quarters there, not semesters. I was there for a quarter during COVID. Kind of like it just sucked a little bit for me personally. It felt like high school still, like 30
quarters,
40. Yeah, quarters. Like it would be like I think it's like 9 weeks, like less than 9 weeks per like quarter, and then instead of like 18 weeks a semester. So like going to classes, I thought like I had this big expectation on Life of like these big like assemblies, big like classrooms, like 200, 100 people, just like getting to know people. But then I get there and I just see it's like kind of like high school, which isn't my thing. It could be other people's things, but like for me, it just wasn't it. COVID also didn't really help. Like it limited games, limited practices. Like we didn't really have many games. It was just practice, which coming out of high school, I just thought, hey, I just want to get in, play high level rugby, which it was. Practices are great. Love the coaches, love the people there. It's just not enough games. And I think I was also a little bit homesick. It's kind of hard.
Yeah, and there's also COVID, which, really put a damper on college life in particular.
Yeah, definitely was a little bit homesick. Wasn't like it's not great to admit that I was homesick, but going back and then transfer to Indiana.
It really isn't. As your representative going forward, I would say we're going to table that. No, you don't. No, I'm just kidding. You're being honest, man. There's nothing wrong with being honest.
Yeah. So transferred into Indiana, transferred in with Noah Brown, transferred in with a few other guys I knew playing.
There was Noah. So did Noah transfer into IU as well?
Yeah, he transferred in from Western Michigan same year I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
there's something going, we got a whole different show that we could delve into that. I'll get Brian Ray of America's Rugby News and John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning digging away, and then I'll take
We should.
But there's a whole story here. There's something going on. Something going on. Maybe, and I'm going to jump ahead, maybe it's because you had other Hoosiers graduates on your Chicago Hounds roster, Noah Brown, you just mentioned, but also Bryce Campbell.
Yep.
Right? Did they have anything to do with maybe you get drafted by the Hounds?
Maybe a little bit, but definitely the biggest person to get me, got eyes on me was Will McGee and Matt Wagner. Matt Wagner was the head coach of Lions Sevens. He's the one who's got me in the eyes of Will McGee and everyone. But he gave me a chance for the Sevens program, and that got me in the eyes of Will and James and all the other people. Just like, hey, let's take a risk on this kid.
Funny how that works, right?
It's great. It's very funny. Very funny. Very small world once you get into
it's basically the story of the American pathway working. Yep. Because you got to rely on word of mouth. The country's too vast. We don't have the resources, so you can't have scouts everywhere. You can't have coverage and all this everywhere yet. Hopefully we'll get there, but it's not the NFL. It's not NCAA football. It's not like that. So you have to rely on these kinds of things happening.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, what a coincidences of coincidences. Anyway, did you know about rugby before high school?
Yeah. So my dad played at Wabash. My dad played many years for the
Where did he play?
Wabash College. My 5th, 6th grade year, we drove 2 hours down to Carmel just to play games. just go down there, drive for the day, and then come back. And then just do that every weekend. Just go down back and forth. And then as soon as high school, middle school started, my dad and I realized, hey, we should start a program in Leo. So we talked to churches. We got a field donated to us. And for a whole summer, we created a rugby field out of a beanstalk field.
Wow.
So we went
Build it, they will come.
Build it, they will come. And since then, middle school programs flourishing and the high school programs getting up and up. We're still in like the D2, D1 club level, but
how
we're
old
slowly
is it?
getting there. So how old am I? 23, about 8 years, 6, 7 years.
That's
6,
still
7, 8 years.
embryonic stages of a program, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. That's an amazing accomplishment. See, this is we're getting to know. We're
getting there.
So, do you have a recollection of the first time you saw a rugby ball? How old?
I have baby pictures of me at rugby ball. Like my dad has pictures of me holding a rugby ball, like 5, 6, 7 years old.
So out of the womb.
Out of the womb, people might say.
And when was your first kind of organized rugby?
6th grade, going down to Carmel Rugby.
There's a fellow who's your rugby alumni out there that is a big benefactor, and I think rumored to throw $1 million at the program in Mark Cuban, right?
Yeah. Did meet him when I was the president of the IU club. Met him for our 50th anniversary. He came down with all of his friends. And he met with our leadership group. Told me stories about him playing rugby. Told him how it was for him. Like how it was a completely different game than what it is today. But
how cool was that?
Unreal. Like it was insane. Meeting him. He's a celebrity. Just learning from him, learning like how he did in IU, like what he did with his time it's pretty cool.
After you're done playing rugby, and I know that's not even on your radar, but what did you study at school?
Sports marketing and management.
All right, so you stay in the realm.
Yeah, I want to stay in the realm. I want to either do coaching or like even this is further down the line. I want to be like kind of like a GM. Love that type of stuff. I also want to be like a player manager, because being able to step off this role and knowing like what I know and knowing like how management's run and just help the players fresh out of college, like so they can live up to like the true.
Be like maybe an agent of sorts.
Yeah, try to be. Yeah.
All right. How about Team USA? What are your aspirations there?
I want to be a part. I want to get capped. I want to go to the World Cup. I want to do good.
Anybody get in touch with you after watching some of your highlights recently?
Yeah, Scott Lawrence reached out. I got called. I'm on the EPS. I'm the next 9 up. So just waiting, just being prepared. So if anyone gets injured, anyone gets sick, like
you got your family members out there trying to trip people.
Hopefully not. I don't want any like bad voodoo, bad juju against me.
It's rugby.
My time.
You can't survive a trip. You can't play. If somebody trips you and you fall and you get hurt, you can't play for Team USA. That's my thing.
Yeah,
just kidding. Just kidding, everybody. Save your comments on Reddit. It's already on Reddit. All right, we got to let you go, but a couple of final questions. When you're in the back line and you're watching the forwards go, and you've got some great forwards, including Lucas Rumble, do you ever wonder how he gets to the breakdown so quickly when his feet go in opposite directions?
I think it's feet. I think he's able to waddle and just maneuver around people, and then he's excellent over the ball because his feet is lateral, and it's a stable platform. It's insane how well his breakdown technique and his jackling technique is. I think we need to learn how to get that flexible.
Well, he said on this program, and I asked him about it, and he had a good laugh. And he says, "Well, actually, they help me balance over the breakdown, so I don't need my hands."
Yeah, it's insane. It's remarkable.
Finding something positive out of what people might,
We need to get a clip of that and just show it, and just show people. I don't think people understand his feet go like this. Like it's actually just parallel. It's wild.
Thank God they didn't get him fixed.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be seeing him doing the poaching that he's doing. Peyton, how scared are you of the butcher, Dylan Fawcett?
He's a very timid man. I'm very I wouldn't say scared, but I think I'm slowly cracking to him. When he comes to handshakes, he just shakes your hand and goes, Peyton. Yeah, just straight face. So like I'm trying to get it to him. There's a line. Like there was one day where I beat him to the handshake, just really quick trolled it and got it to him. And he goes, "Speed, I like it," and then walked off. So I felt like I got some respect off that.
Excellent.
But yeah, he's a great guy.
You want to be on his good side.
You have to be on his good side.
I'm happy to call him a friend. He's a great guy. All right, and finally, If Brad Tucker doesn't look out for you, tell him I'm going to release those photos I've been holding.
I will.
right.
I'll tell
All
Brad Tucker that.
All right. Peyton Wall, thanks for coming on MLR Weekly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be right back with Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News. Don't go away. And now, the Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network. In the 52nd minute, with his team down 2 players and their postseason hopes on life support, Duncan Matthews once again breathed life back into the Seawolves season with a dazzling burst, a devilish chip kick, and a ridiculous recapture of the ball, all on his way to a monumental try as Seattle goes on to clinch a playoff spot. And that is your Major League Rugby Play of the Week, brought to you by the Rugby Network.
I wouldn't like to be at the bottom of that.
You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now.
Here's your TRO, the Rugby Odds MLR Picks of the Week via WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, legendary USA Olympic Sevens coach Mike Friday, and King Gipte Belu, inventor of words.
Big difference between Texas and Ireland. Texas doesn't choke. Give me Houston.
I think minus 10 points is a lot, so I'm going to give it Miami.
Free Jacks to cover after last week. Jed Melvin didn't play. That's why it all went wrong.
And hey, be sure to check out the Rugby Odds, the critically acclaimed sports entertainment show featuring big-name talent, exclusive highlights, insightful opinions, and irreverent, if not downright naughty, behavior. And we're back again with Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News / Ray's Rugby. Brian, you got fireworks going off behind you. You got your Warriors hat on. You must be very excited for your Utah Warriors.
Stunning performance by those Warriors, who I recall I picked to win the whole thing at the beginning of the season, or maybe not. I know, full credit to them coming out as the top team in the regular season. So well done, Coach Cooper. Well done to all the Warriors, and particular congrats to their fine Canadian contingent on that team, who were all excellent.
All right, let's talk about what's ahead of us now. We have the MLR quarterfinals. It's hard to believe the season is winding down. We're going right into the postseason, and we've got a couple of teams that we didn't think would be there because of their records out of the gate, like Seattle and LA, for instance. But let's go right to the spreads, and let's see what you pick. These spreads, of course, are from the Rugby Odds. Check out that show, folks. It's a very good show. Chicago, -6 at home versus DC.
This is going to be a cracking game. I'm really looking forward to this one. Two well-matched teams. Chicago played on the Wednesday, so they have a few days rest. And, DC didn't send a complete B-side down to San Diego. There were some first-choice guys playing in that game, so they won't be entirely rested. They'll be a little banged up. I have to lean towards Chicago in this one. They just they look solid. I like that pack is just so physical. The back row has been outstanding all season long. I expect that they'll live up to their reputation in this game at home. So I'm going to take Chicago in this one, but it's going to be very close. I would not at all be surprised if DC wins, but I don't think they cover the spread, but I think Chicago wins in the squeaker.
All right, Utah at home -5 versus Seattle. Seattle pretty banged up.
Yeah, this is a tough ask for Seattle. They even had to work in that game against very much a B-side from Miami. Dan Creel.
But when you have 17 guys in the sin bin at the same time, it doesn't help.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they let themselves down with their discipline. Certainly some concern for Dan Creel, whether he's going to show up for this one with injury. We know Rhino Herbst, their outstanding second row, is not going to be playing because of suspension. That is a blow to
And
Seattle.
Rousseau got 2 yellows, which translates to a red. Now, does that red one that keeps him out from the following week?
I'm not anticipating that. They're both of the technical, those yellow cards are both technical offenses. And we saw precedent earlier this season. Noah Brown, for instance, got 2 yellows in a game and didn't get this suspended. So I think Rousseau will play, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think this Utah team has proved that they're a quality outfit. I'm just not seeing any way that Seattle is really gonna upset this one. So I'm thinking Utah wins this one and by double digits scores. Not a blowout, but probably 10 to 12 points, I think.
Okay. New England looking for that three-peat, hosting Miami. -10, New England the favorites.
So Miami did rest their team, pretty much the entire team. I think Santiago Videla was the only starter from the week before who started in this one. So they'll be rested, and they probably needed it with some older bodies on that team. But I just don't see, they didn't play well at all when they were at Quincy earlier this season. And I think this is going to be a tough one for them. New England will be fired up for this one. They'll have Dan Holland's head back. He was back ahead of this past game, but they didn't play him. So I think they'll be very much look like a championship side. They know that it's business time now, so I'm expecting a business-like performance from our Free Jacks. I expect they'll take this one again. I'll guess in the 10 to 12 point range.
And Houston at home versus LA. Houston, the favorites by 3.
Man, this is another tough one. Houston with Davey Kutzer is just a different prospect, and I don't know what the odds are of him playing this weekend. He's just such a threat with ball in hand. His tactical kicking. He just seems to make that team, click. And when they don't have him out there, I mean, they didn't have all their backline starters. Dom Aquina didn't play against Chicago or against Anthem, and they had Totalatasi also out of that one. I think he was a little bit banged up, so I think those guys will probably start in the midfield. Houston's got such a tough pack, though, and that's a tough matchup for LA, who are struggling a bit in the scrum. This is a great contrast of styles. LA spin to win, run from anywhere. Exciting game ahead. Man, I'm tempted to pick the informed team, to be honest. And even though they lost to Utah, I kind of like LA in this one. I think they're crazy enough. They might just pull it off. Andrew,
they got to stay out of the sin bin too, though.
That's true. Discipline has kind of been their Achilles heel this year. So we'll see how this goes.
That match, they got a yellow, and then a second later, it's 2 tries by, So
right.
They got to stay out of the bin.
I thought that was a harsh call, by the way. But I think, you know what? I'm going to go with LA with the upset here. I just haven't been thrilled with Houston's form down the stretch here. So I'm going to go with LA by 5. Andrew Cohen's 90 meters to score the game winner.
Wow. All right, Brian. Well, on that note, we're out of time. I want to thank Mr. Brian Ray of America's Rugby News, John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, Peyton Wall of the Chicago Hounds, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out the critically acclaimed The Rugby Odds. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, easy for me to say. Please sign up for our weekly newsletter and join our American Red Cross blood donor team.